Hello, everyone. Today we're teaching about 6 RV travel planning mistakes to avoid. Stay tuned for some tips that'll help you travel a lot less stressful.
The RV life. We're surrounded with the message that it's a life you have to wait until retirement to have, and a life that only some can afford. And while it might be reality for those who want to believe that's true, we're on a mission to change that mindset and help people to stop wondering and start wandering to create a life they love.
Join us in conversations about how to design your RV life. We're Bryan Luann Street, and this is the RV Living Show.
Yeah, welcome to the RV Living Show. Like our intro said, we're Bryan and Luann Street, and we're going to be talking today about the 6 travel planning mistakes to avoid. Now, we totally have done all of these mistakes, which is why we wanted to bring this content to you, because, it's just preventable. Everything is preventable, and you don't have to have those kinds of mistakes in your life. Sorry, I'm muting my phone. So let's get started. Are you ready to discover the biggest RV travel mistakes and how that fits into your life of freedom and travel? So we're going to be talking about that.
That's right.
So Bryan, first I want to welcome everyone who's with us live and on the replay. We don't want to miss out the replay people too, because we know people that watch us over and over again. Those of you who join us live, it's so exciting to have you show up and interact with us in the comments at the end of the show. So welcome, everyone.
Yes, welcome.
We're excited to have you all today. So RV travel planning can be stressful, right?
Well, it is. It's a stressful job no matter how you do it.
Yes,
but
all the way.
Also some things you can do to make it a lot more stressful.
Yes, right. You can do the self-inflicted
stress. You don't want that.
Those are the things we want to talk about avoiding today, right? Okay, so 6 RV travel planning mistakes to avoid. Bryan, why don't you talk about the first one?
First one is not having no place to stop for the night. Now this, we think that we're going to I remember early on, let me maybe back up a little bit. Early on, we would first start RVing. This didn't seem to be a problem. We could go and we could say, well, we're going to make it this far. Maybe we'll just call ahead and get a place. We soon found out that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Just here recently, I'm planning a trip back to see the grandkids, and and fortunately, I'm thinking ahead now. Then I've learned, and I go ahead and call. So I called one place where I had been halfway. I thought maybe we'd want to stop, and to find out there was nothing available. So I had to redo my plans. But fortunately, we got them done, and but that's what I think is very important nowadays, especially as summer's coming on. We really have to start thinking about this.
Yeah, I mean, gone really are the days of you driving and planning on the go as you drive, especially if you're at places that are more popular, or you're going to a certain place for the season or whatever. You really have to think about that. So, that mistake of not planning ahead for at least the night that you're stopping is one that you really want to try to avoid.
Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to drive maybe 20, 40 miles out of your way just to find a campground.
Or even more than that. I mean, keep on driving.
Keep on driving because you couldn't find a place.
Yeah, right. So that's our first step. So calling ahead and making a reservation can save you from disappointment at not having a place to camp. So that is a huge thing, because if you especially are intent on going somewhere specific, you've got that disappointment to deal with that you're not going to be able to do it. So planning ahead. Okay, so the next tip is no site available at the campground that you want. So on top of just not having whatever campground.
That's right.
Now it's specific.
That's very specific. I just experienced this recently again. Like I said, I found that place I wanted to go, and we were. It was halfway on our trip, and I said, sure, I can find a campground. There's plenty of campgrounds in the area, and there wasn't one available. So we had to change our plans to go a different direction. So, yeah, I mean, nowadays with so many people enjoying the lifestyle, you really kind of, most of you probably already have started making your plans for the season, but it's even more important to think about maybe those other trips you want to take as well, besides maybe the big ones, and start putting some of those reservations in your book. get them before they're all taken up, basically.
Right. And so with helping you with that, we want to offer our campground reservation log for you with this episode. So if you click on the link, streetswander.com/campground-reservation-log, this is the cornerstone of our travel planner, and this will help you make those travel planning reservations, as well as, in that case, you're planning ahead, recording your cancellation policy, because plans change and you may be able to make and adjust your plans based on where you want to go next, whether you can cancel one or you're going to lose your deposit, and that kind of thinking.
Right. Speaking of the campground reservation log, we developed for the cancellation policy in itself is so good to know, because we recently changed our plans, and now I had all that information right at my fingertips. And like I say, early on, we've learned that when we first started this, before we had this log, our plans, things was a lot different.
They were, because we were making multiple phone calls back to the campground. Well, so how much money would we get back, or or even what deposit did we make? So this log has really helped. So our next tip today is driving too many miles in a day. We've done that before.
We've done that before, and I'm sure if you've RV'd at all, you probably have done this as well. This is something that, when we started RVing, we were not full-time. We used to think that we had to get somewhere for a vacation. We were, time was short. We had to make a lot of distance, just because we didn't want to spend all our time on the road. We wanted to get to that campground. And, we first found out on our first couple of trips that were long distance, that it hurt us, especially me, because I'm driving all day long.
It was my fault. Okay, full disclosure. I'm like, we need to get from here to here, so we need to drive. And thinking that you can drive an RV just like a car.
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
But we learned, since we've been able to adjust our mileage. We know that where we'd like to stop each day. And we don't like, personally, we don't like to go over 300 miles. That's a big day for us. I like to go 100 if possible.
That's an awesome day.
That's an awesome day.
But if you're not full time and you're trying to do a trip, still 350 miles a day, unless you're just really having to get from point A to point B, and then you're going to be able to have the rest of your time to relax. It just makes your whole trip a whole lot more enjoyable if you're not just driving so many miles.
That's right. They may be cases where you have to get to a certain place, but that's maybe the exception instead of the norm.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So enjoying the campground is part of the RV lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So this lends itself to this driving too many miles in a day, right? You end up there at the campground and you can't enjoy what you're camping for. And it's so important so you can get to see things along the way and at your destination more effectively, or even just that overnight RV park that you're staying at or campground, that you're able to experience maybe your campfire or your, just relaxing, grilling out, all the things that kind of come with that RV lifestyle that you want to experience when you're traveling in your RV. Right. Okay, so tip number, I think this is 4.
Right, stop before you get tired. This is something there again we've learned. It is important to stop while you still feel like maybe we feel like we go a little bit farther, but we like to stop and just set up and just take it a little easier. Because we find out if we make that extra 50 miles or the extra 100 miles on that trip, then time we get there where we're wore out, we got to set up the RV, and park the RV. Then we got to worry about dinner and all these stuff. It kind of like, there's just like a certain point in your trip, if you just stop, you've made plenty of progress and you can be able to relax. And it just kind of takes the stress off of driving.
It does. And not to mention, when you're tired and driving, it's dangerous. Right. And you're driving or towing your RV, and it's more tiring than regular driving. And so if you don't stop before you get tired, you lend yourself to the potential of more accidents, making mistakes that you didn't mean to make, And sometimes those mistakes aren't lessons. They're terrible things that you really can avoid. But this also goes back to our first tip, is having a place to camp at night. Is so if you're winging it and you're just kind of going along and you're trying to get your next campground on the fly on that day, again, you're going to be driving farther to get that campground if you can't find one, and it could make you drive past the point of where you're super tired and you're not effective, and that's the mistake you want to avoid. Okay, so the next one is not consulting the Weather Channel.
Yeah, this could be something that you don't want to run into, is bad weather. Heavy rain, just things you can avoid. If you can plan, you can start looking at your trip coming up, and even a few days out, start looking at what's kind of get an idea what the weather is going to be like. Because nowadays they're fairly good at forecasting. At least they can give you an idea of, whether you're going to be running into rain or what kind of weather's out there. So knowing that type of information, you could actually maybe leave a day early, if possible, or maybe you could stay a day longer in your campground just to kind of avoid some of the weather.
Yes, and even if you can't avoid the weather, setting the expectation of what you're going to run into. Right. And so that could be shortening how many miles you're driving that day, or also maybe changing your reservation for that night because you can't get as far as you thought because of the weather. So, when you're RVing, you're in vacation mindset. Even if you're full-timing, you're in touch with what's going on, but you're still in a kind of a different zone than you were back in your sticks and bricks life. So that whole thing of, just the weather's important. The weather's important for knowing if you need to take shelter from not a hurricane, but I mean, that too. But a tornado would be more imminent than, because a hurricane was coming and you could leave. But that whole awareness of the weather is really important, and that's a mistake that you can avoid by planning ahead.
Another thing about the weather is when you're driving in it, it always seems to take a little longer because you're not going as fast,
right.
And you're already slowed down because you're maybe driving your RV. But now the weather is another factor that may slow you down a little bit more. So if you do have to drive in weather, maybe you want to start planning about maybe leaving a little earlier, instead of waiting.
That's a great tip.
Kind of make some more miles up because you won't be going as fast.
Right. Or planning the stops, actually looking for where you can stop along the way and take a break, either because it's raining too hard and you need that ability to get off the road, or just take some time so maybe the weather will pass.
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break, and you're going to learn more about our travel planner. This episode of the RV Living Show is brought to you by the Complete RV Travel Planner, the only travel planner made specifically for the RV lifestyle. Get yours today at rvtravelplanner.com. Just so you know, we are running out of the 2021 spiral bound version of our planner. We're getting down to the last, I think there's 35 left for the year. So if you're wanting to get a travel planner, now is the time to grab one before you can't get one that's printed anymore for 2021. So we just want to let you know that. And again, our campground reservation log, there's 10 of them for every month in this travel planner. And we've actually added some things to the one that's in the travel planner versus the one that you get for free, because we've refined our process over the years of how we look at our campground reservations.
The more you use it, the more you can refine it.
Okay, so the last tip is planning too many activities at your destination. So now we've got, we're there, right? You've traveled, you've done all the things that you're supposed to do to get there, and now you're camping and you're having a great time, and you have a certain amount of time, because even when you're full-time, you only have a certain amount of time to enjoy your destination. But if you plan too many activities, what happens?
Yeah, you wear yourself out.
You wear yourself out completely, and you don't get to enjoy yourself and and where you are.
Right, and having FOMO doesn't help, does it?
No, it doesn't. If you don't know what FOMO is, it's fear of missing out. And so he's speaking to me because I have that thing. We come in and it's like, okay, well, I want to make sure we do this. I want to make sure we do this. I want to make sure we do this. And so now that's a good thing, but I need to temper myself a little bit. So that's what he's talking about. But yeah, you don't want to cram 5 things in on the day to do and just completely wear yourself out, because that's not enjoyable.
No.
It's just not any fun to wear yourself out. The best thing to do is pick your best things and plan a trip back.
Right. And plus, if you go to an area that has a lot of things you can do, maybe stay a little longer.
If you can.
If you can,
sure.
And pace yourself.
Yeah.
We don't, I always tell her we don't have to do everything at every stop, but we're working on that.
Well, maybe, no. All right. Well, those are our 6 travel planning mistakes to avoid this week. Next week, we won't be live because we're going to be spending time with our family in Asheville, North Carolina. And my daughter has actually planned a big day for she and I to celebrate Mother's Day, even though it's April. It's the time we're going to be together. So we're really excited to go spend some time with family. But we are going to put out there one of our most popular videos that will be on Facebook at 2 p.m. and on YouTube. And it's going to be how to be a great RV co-pilot. We did this one early last year, and we got a lot of response to it, and it bears repeating because this is the time of year that we're all getting in our RVs, and we're starting to travel more often than even if you're full-time. Maybe you've stayed stationary like we have for a little while, and now you're ramping up, you're getting on the road, and let's learn about refining some of those tips and being just a better support to the person that we're driving with or traveling with.
That's right. We'll have to make a better year out of it, right?
That's right. So look for that next week, and then we'll be back live the week after, and we'll be talking about another great RVing topic. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the comments and see who's here with us live. Hello, Tina. Your volume isn't working. Oh, Michelle says. Oh, but Tina says it's good on my end. We can't hear you. Oh, but your intro was fine. I wonder what's going on. I think last week. Can you hear them talking? I just went out and came back. Thanks for all the good info. Okay, well, I'm not sure if that was just you. I'm sorry, Michelle, if that was it. Rick says, thanks for all the good info. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Someone who says, Facebook user says, hello, Luann and Bryan. If you didn't give StreamYard permission inside our Stop Wondering and Start RVing Facebook group, if you didn't give permission above the video, then I can't see who you are. But hello, I'm so glad you're here. Tina says, the first thing we learned was just because we were on vacation, the rest of the world wasn't. LOL, avoid rush hour. Absolutely. Yeah, right? That's great. Yes. If you can do that, that's, yes, an amazing tip. Also, sports venues and game times. No, totally. We did that in Auburn, Alabama. We were traveling through and we had a reservation at a campground. Thank God we had the reservation because we wouldn't have been able to get in. It was the Auburn football game. And everybody was there, and
we did come back through there, but at another time when we were heading back to Asheville, and because of the game, we couldn't get in.
Yeah. Oh, yep. I bet driving through Chicago was a big time nightmare. Brenda says, enjoy your family. Oh, great. Thank you, Brenda. And you're welcome. You said thank you for the great information and the free campground reservation log. Well, good. I'm excited that you enjoyed that. And Sharon Marie says, excellent. I'm looking forward to be a great co-pilot. Oh, Michelle says, it was me and my headphones. Never too late to learn something new. Okay, how far out do you make reservations? All right, Michelle. Here's going to be hashtag Truth Central right now. So normally we are really excellent travel planners, which is why we've created the products that we have, right? Because they're necessary for our own life. And so we wanted to make sure everybody had access to those if they needed that too. But right now, because of COVID, we kind of got lax on, we weren't like, where are we going? What states are going to be open? Like all the things right now. And right now there's a lot of RVers out there,
Yes.
and it's becoming worse right now. We're experiencing worse than we've seen in a while. And so how far out? I would say that you need to make your bigger destinations. So like we actually are going to the Keys in June, and that reservation, you should make those popular places at least 3 to 6 months in advance. The ones that in between that you can fill in, usually you can find more more campgrounds along your route
Right.
than other places. But yeah, I mean, for those bigger places, 3 to 6 months, if not a year. I mean, we've heard of people at beaches, California coast, Outer Banks of North Carolina, even the Keys, a year in advance. Gulf Shores, Alabama, totally a year in advance for the wintertime.
Another thing is make sure you get all your holidays covered as well. If you plan on traveling anytime,
Huge.
that's a big thing.
That needs to be another mistake to avoid, because yes, if you are camping over the holidays, and as a full-timer, if you are a full-timer or going to be going full-time, you need to make sure your holidays are covered, because that's when everyone comes out of the woodwork to camp, is on those holidays, because they get the extra time on the weekends.
That's right.
So I hope that answers your question. Oh, Rosemary, it's you. Hi, Rosemary. Thanks for letting us know. Oh, and Gabby says, hello, happy Wednesday. Hi, Gabby. I'm the one who has no name, Rosemary. Is that a song? No. So, there was one more question on here I wanted to answer. It was off topic. Jill says, would you be able to explain how a permanent address works and how do you get one? Well, our best advice for that, we cover that really, really in depth inside our full-time RV framework. And I know you were part of the boot camp, but I really want to help you with this. So if you research, you can look at St. Brendan's Isle, and that's the mail service we have, but it's also our domicile, and that's a Florida one. And the Escapees has a mail and a domicile thing at their location in Texas. So you can check out both of those, and it kind of walks you through how to create a domicile there, and it actually explains it to you a little bit better. Now, there are strategies that you can use to make, the best choice, but pointing you to those two places would be our best advice right now for the amount of time we have on this show.
Yeah, it'd be a great place to start right there for sure.
Okay, let's see. Okay, what is the website to go get the planner book? It's rvtravelplanner.com. So I guess I should have made a banner for that, right?
Type it in.
All right. There you go. Yeah, so we're actually getting ready to come out with the 2022 for those of you crazy people who are planning in 2022. And yes, we do have people calling us, or not calling us, but emailing us, when's the 2022 out? So that one's going to be coming out in the next month or so, because we are selling out of the 2021. And because planning ahead is so important, especially for those bigger things, going out to the national parks. You're going to hit the northeast or the northwest, where people are coming out. Their winters are so long and their summers are so short. You're going to want to make sure you get your reservations. So we'll be doing that really soon, so you can look for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this has been fun, guys. Thanks for chatting with us today. We so appreciate you showing up live. This was a lot of fun. And we will see you in 2 weeks, but be sure to check out the co-pilot video. I think we got such a response on it the first time that it really, really makes you think about the ways that you can be of support to each other.
That was a great video, and it has a lot of great information in it, and it was kind of fun too to do.
Oh, Sue said, I just ordered the spiral bound version. Can't wait to get it, as we are newbies. And I think this planner will really help keep us organized. Thank you for all you do and sharing all of your experiences and advice with us. Oh, well, Sue, thank you so much. Yeah. No, we love all of you guys. I mean, RVers are such great people. And this is such a nice lifestyle, whether you're doing it full-time or part-time, and just making the most of it is really what it's all about. And so we're glad to help.
Yeah, the main thing is to take your time and just learn to enjoy it. That's it.
Yes, yes. And Sharon Marie says we're looking good in blue. Thank you. I know. I was like, we're matching today. So,
The blue team.
the blue team. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you there.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the RV Living Show. We hope this episode helps you in creating an RV life you love.
Until next time, we encourage you to stop wondering and start wandering.